Kelsey Langford with X marks the spot. I will begin my discussion talking about the evolution of navigation and the effects it can have on producers and consumers. It's hard to imagine living in a world where you're headed from point A to point B without your directions being laid out for you. Oftentimes, successfully finding your way happened by luck. They use memorization, star placement, the sunrises and sunsets, the moon, and a sextant to measure the differences between these. Although they didn't know the difference then, they often had lack of opportunity to trade due to their knowledge and skills of their time. The well-known expedition of Christopher Columbus was done with very little navigational resources. He used a compass and a sextant such as these, when he began his voyage west to find Asia filled with gold and riches. He luckily stumbled upon the New World, which opened up a new opportunity for lots of trade between the present-day North America and Europe. Most of the time, you don't get that lucky when you're lost. Another famous expedition that was done with little to no use of navigation was the Lewis and Clark expedition. These men set out to find an all-water route to the Pacific Ocean. This exploration led to an opportunity for trade and agriculture. As the men traveled along their journey, Clark was a designated cartographer and began drawing hand maps along the way, such as these. Although Clark was educated with cartography, there was still room for human error. As with these maps, landmarks and other objects along the way were often drawn in, leaving lots of room for misinterpretation. The difficulty with hand-drawn maps was the lack of precise navigation. This often caused trouble with trade and business. However, they were much more reliable and efficient than word of mouth and dumb luck. The topic of trade ties in with the prisoner of war camp article we read in class. The prisoners often traded cigarettes or chocolate for one another, but oftentimes did not have access to all of the things that they wanted. The same would be the same with the hand-drawn maps. You may want to trade cattle with someone, but you may not have a successful route to get there. Now that I've introduced the older methods of navigation and the tools that were used to get around, I'd like to discuss the role maps and navigation have played in recent history. Here I have a map of Wyoming that was produced in 2011. As you can tell from this map, there are many things you can learn and details that are used from this map. The legend, for example, shows example of a key for airports, paved roads, rivers, unpaved roads, state parks, and even scenic routes. These things would be important as you travel across this state. To the right of this map are the major cities throughout this state. They are very detailed directions that can show you schools, street names, and landmarks through these towns. Here we are still looking at the map of Wyoming. For example, say you have a trucking company and you're making deliveries from Jackson, Wyoming down into Colorado. As you can see by the map, you need to take 191 south to Reliance and then switch to Interstate 80 as you go across east to Creston Junction and then take 789 south, which will lead you into Colorado. The improvements of transportation have definitely played a big role in the evolution of commerce and what is able to be done today. Here I have an example of the hand-drawn map that we used earlier, in comparison to the specific maps that are used more recently today. All of this information is leading into the type of navigation that we use today, GPS and satellites. For example, this is using the maps on an iPhone. Trying to find Brahms in Canyon, Texas. This navigation device provides many features, such as turn-by-turn navigation, arrival time, and distance, which can aid in the transportation of goods and efficiencies. It shows several different routes of which one can be faster, and it considers traffic and roadwork along the way.
Starting route to Brahms Ice Cream and Berry Store. Proceed to the route.
Not only are GPSs used on a personal basis, but they are also used by major companies used nationwide. For example, UPS and FedEx can get their products and information delivered using the quickest route. There is less room for human error when using satellites, which makes trade across the country possible. Without the use of these tools, the economic trade system would not be what it is today. Not only can satellite tell you the quickest way to get to Taco Bell, it also aids in the delivery of the iPhone case you just ordered off of eBay. That concludes the video of X Marks the Spot. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.